What's going on, fam? Welcome back to the channel. Highly requested, and yes, I finally have them, the Copa Gloro. Let's hop into it. So here we go with the unboxing of the Copa Gloro. Very, very standard Adidas box that you get with pretty much every model except for the Plus models now. Very standard black box with all the logoing there. And then these are the Copa Gloro FG in the US 9, UK 8.5, Euro 42 and 2/3, and the 27 centimeters. Now, these are in the white, red, and black colorway, which I'm very excited to unbox. Boom, there we go. Look at those. Very classic looking. These are heavy, chunky. They look pretty cool. I'm pretty excited to try these on, to be honest. So these compete with New Balance 442 and Nike Premier 3. They might with a couple other boots on the market, but those are kind of the two main competitors for this football boot, right around that $130 to $150 price point, depending on color and availability and all that stuff. These being a calf leather versus the K leather on the 442, and then of course the, I believe they're now cow leather on the Premier 3 as well. So let's get the other one unboxed. No string bag, of course, because this is kind of a budget-friendly football boot from the Adidas brand. And we'll throw this one down there, and there you go. So there is Copa Gloro in all of its glory, pun intended. I'm gonna take this sticker out. So this is, as I said, a very, 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 did I say very, very simple football boot. Now, the Copa Gloro is a completely calf skin or cow skin leather upper. It's got the fold over tongue, which I think is a nice feature as well. You of course have the string here, so you can pull it. It actually does have the scissors logo there, so if you wanted to not have the tongue, it could look a little bit more like this. Let me know down in the comments section below which one you think is the coolest. I think for heritage sake, like honestly, and this is just without even trying them on, if I'm gonna wear a boot that's this heavy, this chunky, I'd rather wear a Copa Icon probably, just because, just in the way that it kind of feels, like blind test, the Copa Icon feels better. If I'm gonna wear something like this, it better be because there's some heritage behind it. I think the tongue adds that heritage, which is pretty cool. So that's, for me, like what makes this boot maybe aesthetically a little bit cooler than the other ones on the market. I know Premier 3 has an iconic look, of course, and they do kind of pretty special and awesome colorways. New Balance 442 is probably my favorite out of all of these, unless this is gonna fit like exceptionally well, which I doubt it. New Balance 442 is what I'm wearing out of these competitions no matter what, because I just think it fits best, and it's K leather still, which is incredible for the value. So, but from like an iconic look perspective, the fold over tongue is pretty cool. So that's one thing to that gives this kind of a leg up as well. From a softness perspective, the cow skin feels pretty stiff, to be honest. There you go. You can kind of see, you know, it's not as premium as some of the other things on the market, but does provide a little bit of softness, and very, very thick and plush as well. So that's something that if you are looking for a boot that's a little bit more, you know, quote unquote protective, if you will, if you want a little bit more a padded sensation underfoot, this would definitely provide that for you. So you've got a synthetic lining on the inside, which is that white material down here. Very, very simple, very standard for most leather football boots back in the day. They did have a synthetic lining that does provide a little bit of extra structure to it, and allows your foot to break in the leather without sort of overstretching as well, especially because you do have that stitching pattern as well, which will prevent a little bit of that overstretching. This is technically a firm ground sole plate, although if you look at how short these studs are, I would guess these are going to be perfectly suitable for AG, including the fact that they are conical in nature as well. So you're going to get plenty of rotational ability here. You're going to get plenty of sort of movement, both lateral and forward and backwards, which is great. And then as far as the structure goes, they are very, very flimsy. Yeah, this is not, so like if I can bend it that way, that's probably not a good sign. That being said, these are 130 bucks, so some people are gonna absolutely love them, especially for the value proposition. So this is not me sort of bashing this football boot, but I think for modern standards, I think, look, Premier 3 and New Balance 442 could also use with a sole plate update. I understand that sole plate technology is a little bit more complicated maybe to produce, so that's where a lot of the cost comes in. But with a boot like this sole plate is just frankly kind of lackluster. I would say it's so bendy. Like I can kind of fold it both ways and like there's like no structure to it. We'll see how it fits underfoot. I'm just not very impressed with the sole plate at all. But really, I don't need to be, because at this price point, it really is just a boot that has the Copa heritage. It has the leather upper, which a lot of brands, of course, are going with a synthetic, or even, I mean, cow skin is great, calf skin is great, but they're going synthetic, and they're not even producing leather boots anymore. So the fact that that still exists at this price point is pretty cool, especially now because the Copa Icon is quite a bit more expensive than this model is. I think it's almost double the price, maybe like $50 to $80 more expensive depending on where you live. But overall, again, really heavy. It's like noticeably heavier than a lot of other stuff that I review. And then it does have that iconic look. So maybe you get over that. Hopefully it fits most people as well, because of the nature of it being all leather. You should be able to fit into it regardless of whether you've got a super wide foot or super thin foot. So without further ado, let's actually confirm that by getting it on feet. Let's hop into it. All right, fam, out here in the backyard with the Adidas Copa Gloro. Now, I don't have huge expectations for these ones, but we're gonna get these on feet and I'll explain why I think these are so popular for a lot of people. Now, they do look pretty cool, especially with this fold over tongue. You do have the option of cutting the tongue off. As you can see, there's a little scissors mark similar to the Premier 3. You can basically cut it off right on the line, or right where the split is right there. That's actually, don't worry, if you get your boots and it's like that, this comes with the boots split like that. So then you have a really easy kind of, okay, you snip it off and then it basically will just look like that, which is super nice. And some people will love that. I actually think the tongue looks really cool, and we'll go from there. Now, I am wearing a pair of WeFoot grip socks. You guys can get 20% off in the description box below with the code NOAH20. They are my favorite grip socks. These are the thin version that I use for all the unboxings and playtest videos. And then for games and for some training sessions, I use their thick version, which is super premium as well. Both are available on their website, and the discount will apply to your entire order. All right, here we go with the Copa Gloro. Right in, bam. Yeah, nice. Okay, so they are pretty comfy straight out of the box. This full calfskin leather or cow skin leather upper definitely does a pretty nice job of wrapping your foot. Although I will say they are pretty thick. Like these are, they lack a lot of feeling here in the forefoot area. And similar to the Copa Icon, like the Copa Icon is a similar material, but I think the Icon is treated just a little bit differently, as in the leather is treated a little bit differently. And so that one feels a little bit more plush on feet than these do. And then we can get the, there you go, get that tongue down. Okay, so that's actually not bad. I mean, from a comfort perspective, they definitely feel super nice. Like I could sit in these all day, no problem. It's just a matter of performance. And then the other thing that kind of worries me is this heel area. And I would say that for people who are looking for a budget option on the market, or who don't want to spend, you know, $200, they want to spend more like $100 to $130. I think these are going to be an okay option for some people. I think, you know, if you absolutely have to have an Adidas model, then fair enough. I would say that straight out of the box, and just from like a objective materials perspective, the 442 from New Balance is far superior to this in every way. The only thing that this kind of has above the 442 is, number one, it's got a really cool tongue design, but number two is it's got leather throughout the entirety of the upper, as opposed to just the forefoot, where the New Balance has their synthetic leather material here in the midfoot area. But there you go. There's what they look like on feet. And I gotta say, pretty comfortable straight out of the box. No complaints from a hotspot perspective. They definitely look cool on feet, and they've got plenty of room here in the forefoot. These are a 9 US, which is true to size, and the fit is perfect. I would imagine that these are gonna stretch a little bit too, so if you feel like you're just maybe slightly too tight on the inside, I wouldn't worry too much. I would probably try and play in them and just get a little bit of PT before making any judgments, simply because these are fully leather. and like all leather boots, they will definitely stretch to the shape of your foot, which is great. The sole plate is giving me absolutely zero issues right now. There's no kind of trigger points. I do feel, let's see. I mean, keep in mind this turf isn't like playing turf. I am feeling the studs out on this side, kind of right in that area, this stud right here. So I'm feeling a little bit of stud pressure on that outside if I kind of do this and kind of not intentionally roll my ankle, but if I was to plant going sideways, I can definitely feel that stud. But overall, they're pretty no BS. I mean, it's a conical stud pattern. The one thing that you have to understand though is this stud pattern has absolutely zero snapback. So it is one of the most bland sole plates as far as its ability to kind of come into, get you up on your toes. And then as soon as you turn and you push off, your foot is doing 100% of the work in that sort of movement, because these are not meant as a, to give you any sort of snapback. But there's a full look at the boots on feet. It is getting a little bit sunny, so, excuse the super bright bald head. But they're, again, super comfy. I have no issues with the fit and the feel. There's a little bit of kind of awkward space on the outside of my ankle area, but for boots that have a tongue like this, the fold over tongue, the Predator actually has the same sort of quote unquote issue. That being said, it's not something that is going to hinder performance anything. It's just a pet peeve. It's one of those things that you're just like, oh, that's just annoying to look at. But overall, pretty good. I would say the heel area is a little lackluster. It lacks a little bit of that grab that I'm looking for in sort of a boot that's going to give me a little bit of that performance edge. So that's something, when we start talking about the responsiveness of the sole plate and how nice the heel area grabs your foot, you can kind of see here, it doesn't look like there's any weird spots or openings, but they are just really, it just feels kind of clunky and clumsy. And because of the leather on the inside, or the like faux leather on the inside, there's no grip element. So even wearing a pair of grip socks, I literally can like slip my foot halfway out of this boot, which is kind of what I'm talking about from I want a heel area that's really going to grab my foot well. So that's something to think about. But if you have a really wide foot and your heel is really wide, or you've got like kind of, I don't mean this in a necessarily a bad way, but if you've got like kind of cankles, like really, really large ankle area, these actually might be great for you, because it'll give you plenty of room to sort of fill out the boots, which will be great. Touch on the ball is, I would say, pretty feelless, honestly. It's very, very padded, and I use padded and not plush. A Morelia 2 made in Japan is plush. That feels super, super natural and super elegant on ball. That's plush. Padded is like, it doesn't give you that like control element. It doesn't make you feel like it's going to have the best control, whereas this feels kind of numb, if it makes sense. I know I'm kind of crapping on this boot, and I think, from a value perspective, they're pretty inexpensive, so fair enough. But just for me, there are so many other boots on the market that I'm going to pick over these, including things that are in the same price category. Now, I'd still probably pick a Premier 3 over this. I'm definitely picking, as I said before, a New Balance 442 over this, so then it's like, okay, so where do these fall? And if you absolutely have to have the tongue, these are your option. If you have to have Adidas, these are your option. And the unfortunate part is the Copa Icon I would probably take over these. I know that's a different price category. Those are in the 200s. But I just think that for if you're gonna have a padded feel, if you're gonna have a really kind of thicker leather upper, those ones just feel more comfortable and a little more, they've got a much more responsive sole plate and stuff. So I think if they had put torsion frame on this football boot, maybe a different story. But that's just kind of up for you guys to decide. But that's kind of my thoughts on the Copa Gloro. Again, it might feel kind of negative, but this is not my cup of tea. I don't like boots that are super, super thick and super padded. I tend to prefer stuff, even if they're leather, to be much more plush and thin and kind of a little more speed boot-esque when it comes to the treatment of their leather, even if it is like a Copa Pure, which I would still take probably over this one, even if it's not my favorite boot either. So I don't know. That's kind of, I realize this is kind of meh, but for me, the Gloro just isn't the best boot in this category. And if you're not gonna step up into a $200 price point, just go for the best boot in the category, which is the New Balance 442. There's no, like, between weight, the thinness of the leather, the fact that it's K leather still, I think performance of that boot is just miles ahead of this one. So again, that's what I mean when I say, like, these are fine and they look cool and they've got really great colorways, but they really aren't from a performance perspective where maybe I would want, or maybe some of you guys would want. So now you have that info. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, join the fam. First link down in the description box below will be for the WeFoot grip socks, so you guys can get yours down below in the description box below. Again, use code NOAH20 for 20% off your entire order. So hope you guys enjoyed that video. As always, be awesome, take care. I'll see you guys in the next video.